The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? War is hell, and it's probably even worse than you think. Amber and Scott take a very real glimpse into it after watching Warfare. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This episode, we are talking about the film Warfare. Written and directed by Iraq War veteran Jay Mendoza and Alex Garland, Warfare embeds audiences with a platoon of American Navy SEALs in the home of an Iraqi family, overwatching the movement of U.S. forces through insurgent territory. A visceral, boots-on-the-ground story of modern warfare, told like never before in real time and based on the memory of the people who lived it. I would like to set a ground rule for today, and I really don't want to get into the politics of war so much as really the stories and experience of the soldiers or the Navy SEALs that we saw in this film.
Yeah, so I was going to say, we've done, at this point, we're in the 140-something episode range, and we do the What Would You Do? And I believe I have now found the film where I am not going to even remotely question what they did. I am not even remotely qualified to second guess anything that happened in that movie. I mean, when you have the story being told by the people who were there, and guys, there's war movies, and then there's this. And this was not a dumbed down version of a war movie, which most war movies are because Hollywood. This was real. This
was Navy SEALs telling the story of what happened in 90 minutes when they were in a home in Iraq, and what happened to some of the Navy SEALs in their unit. And in that 90 minutes, we see so much happen. And it was so gripping in a way that it wasn't like this full-on story plot of anything. It was just what happened when they occupied this house and when they tried to get out of this house, and the injuries that were sustained and the experiences that they had. And thank you for for what you've said as the frame for our show here today. I guess first and foremost, I just, again, not politicizing war and if it's good or bad or necessary or unnecessary or good or evil.
It doesn't matter. I mean, this is just a recounting of real events.
But this is men in their prime being sent out into impossible circumstances, trying to do the absolute best that they can, and trying to get their fellow fighters out safely.
All while they take injuries and casualties, and the people around them are wanting to continue to make them take injuries and casualties. You can't be like, time out.
Right.
Johnny's hurt.
Yeah. I am humbled and overwhelmed, and
I'm not going to lie, I feel like I have a little bit of PTSD just from watching that.
Yeah, it's people who put themselves in those situations, who put themselves in harm's way. And for the sake of this discussion, we're just going to operate from the premise that whatever that situation is a just situation, and we're going to keep the politics out of it here. But the men that put themselves in this situation, I can't even begin to imagine. And you did see a bit of fear in several of the characters, where something, either they were apprehensive out of the gate, or as things gradually unraveled, that they said, I can't, and they got just shell shocked.
There is, I mean, you can say you're tough and you can handle pressure and everything, but until you have been at the point where you know there is a reasonable chance that you will die any second from a bullet, from an IED, from whatever, like very reasonable people are actively attempting to kill you, and how you respond to that, until you're actually in that situation, I don't think you know how you react.
Yeah, I think you fall back on your training, and hopefully that training sticks with you even when you're stressed out and you're terrified and you're compromised. You look at the guy who was the comms person for the unit, and you could tell he was exhausted in the fact that he kept kind of nodding off, and to me that was sleep deprivation. I don't know if you had that same perception, but the conditions in which soldiers and SEALs and every military person has to function, not having good food, not having good sleep, not having showers, not having, I mean, that's the basic fundamentals, of course, not even counting the not having any peace of mind, not having any quiet, not having any security.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not for everyone. That's for sure.
And I'm so grateful, and I know not everyone in every country is as fortunate as we are in America. I am so grateful that we have not experienced something like that in recent times on American soil. There are a lot of really good war movies, as you said earlier, in the fact that they have been Hollywoodified. But this playing out in real time of the 90 minutes of what these Navy SEALs remember, you know, there are somewhat would you do here's in the fact that, for example, what would you do if you were in this unit and you were trying to get one person medevaced out, and then two people got gravely injured with legs blown off and gaping holes in their body.
Exactly what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly going to be my answer to any what would you do. Exactly what they did.
I would like to think that
if I'm lucky,
in a stressful situation, that I would have the clarity of mind to fall back into my training, to grab the gauze, to get the morphine, to wrap the wounds, to do all the things you're supposed to do. But you could also see in those moments that even those men who had that training, and this is their memories of what transpired, that they were still struggling to make the best of a situation in terrible circumstances when one of the SEALs is trying to get the bleeding to stop on someone's leg who's been injured, and he can't get the belt all the way around. He kneels on the leg to stop the blood flow with all of his weight.
I was wrong. There actually is one what would you do where I would do it differently.
Okay.
So first question, before I even get to that, have you ever had morphine?
I have not.
I have. It's a hell of a drug. Like, whatever's ailing you ain't ailing you for long. Now, it may not last a really long time, but for when it is, it's great. My what would you do is, as soon as you have those guys back to safety.
Well, do you mean safety as
relative,
just getting into the house?
Relative
off of the street?
Safety.
Yeah, no, definitely not safety there. Just off of the street.
You hit the morphine first. You hit those guys with morphine, and then when you have to kneel on their legs and you have to do everything else, it is significantly less painful. Now, listen, I don't think morphine's going to do enough for the wounds that those guys had, but it will take away a lot of it, and it will make it'll take unbearable pain and just move it to excruciating.
So that is a good what would you do. However, given the stress and trauma of this situation, like you said earlier, I don't know if anyone can say they would do anything different because, again, fully trained Navy SEALs, and one of them was administering the morphine and had it upside down and put the shot into his own hand. So when you have just gone through an attack, a massive attack, a bombing and pulling in your brothers who are severely injured, I can't even imagine. I think of times in my life where I was rattled, and I think about how my hands shook and how I couldn't necessarily form a clear sentence or a clear thought. And that, I'm sure, is 1/10,000th of how a soldier or a Navy SEAL in combat might feel.
I mean, again, it's that situation where you know that you could die at any moment if you screw up, or even if you don't screw up.
Or you could kill someone else that's in your unit. And that is the one amazing thing about these military units, regardless of what arm of the military it might be, is they, for better or worse, truly are a brotherhood. And, you know, if one is injured, then you come together and you help that one. Although, oh my gosh, I was so horrified when a unit came in to help them, and that one guy was like, come on, let's go, and actually kicked the legs of one of the injured soldiers. I couldn't even wrap my head around that.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't do it intentionally. He just was insanely amped up.
Yeah.
And just
that
kind of screwed up, and they
kicked me in the
let him
stomach.
know it real fast.
Yeah, but in those situations where you are experiencing a sense of responsibility for your brothers to get them to safety, all the while you're trying to keep yourself alive as well, it makes me so insanely grateful that there are people willing to do that job, regardless of, again, what branch of the military we were talking. And honestly, in whatever country, you know, if someone is willing to serve their country and put themselves at risk and leave their families, and that's why, and you know I'm like this, I have such an issue with Memorial Day. And my issue, as you well know, is people look at Memorial Day as the kickoff of summer, and you go to the beach and you have picnics and you make hot dogs. And I don't come from a military family. I don't know anyone in my family that's ever served in the military.
Oh, as you know, I do.
You do. Yeah. And this isn't something that I grew up thinking about military families or veterans or anything like that. But I have long since been of the state of mind and the opinion that Memorial Day is not for your beach. It's not for your barbecue ribs. It's not for your Frisbee and your potato salad. Memorial Day is a day to honor the veterans who didn't, and again, people get confused between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Memorial Day means people died.
The words Happy Memorial Day should never come out of anyone's mouth. There is nothing happy about Memorial Day, and I kind of want to smack people around when they say it.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first things I mentioned to Scott on the first Memorial Day that we were together, is how outraged I am when people say Happy Memorial Day. It is not a happy day. It is a somber day. It is a very difficult day for so many people. And those people aren't the ones that served, because that's not Memorial Day. That is Veterans Day. Veterans Day are people who served and are alive to tell the tale. Memorial Day is for people who passed, and that is a somber day. And I always try to do something in recognition of those who served. Our Forest Lawn Sanctuary, or Forest Lawn Mortuary, always has a wonderful event on Memorial Day. They do an honor guard. They have a a cannon that goes off. They have a wonderful presentation and bagpipes, and that's what I do most Memorial Days. And again, that's not because I came from a military family. It's because I think it's what's right to actually recognize a holiday for what it is.
Yeah, but you really are. You're all about making sure that we're doing something related to the holiday on the holiday. So, yeah, I don't have much else to add to that.
Well, you were mentioning you had family in the military.
Yeah, my dad served. He did actually serve in the first Iraq conflict. Now, what we saw on screen there was not what my dad experienced. My dad refueled Bob Hope's plane. Now, mind you, he did it midair. So,
How do you do that?
it was a tanker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He flew KC-135, so...
Bob Hope was still doing that then?
Yeah.
Flying around?
Yep. Yeah, that was a USO thing. I mean, he's back in 1990.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know how that works precisely, but I mean, I assume it's midair. I don't see what the point would be otherwise.
Yeah. And I guess to pick up my rant regarding Memorial Day is Veterans Day is to honor those who served. So on Veterans Day, that is the time to thank a veteran, thank someone who served to keep you safe.
Now, let me say this. I'm fine with people saying thank you for your service on Memorial Day because they put themselves in the situation that
Who are they thanking, though?
What?
Who are they thanking?
Any veteran who's served. Like, thank you for your service, not Happy Memorial Day. I think it's fine to still recognize those people who served, but it's not a happy event. It's because
I think any day is a good day to thank someone who served in protection of us.
Yeah.
As a nation.
So, I'm good.
Yeah, this film was a lot. If you really want to see the raw and real experience of what this unit of Navy SEALs went through in the course of 90 minutes, I'd say this is surprisingly one of the more powerful war films because it just didn't get into all of the stories you really saw the raw and real experience.
Yeah, I just want to note that I don't think that this is a good movie or a bad movie. Like, I don't think you can put a good or bad label on it. It's a real movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it was as real as they could possibly recreate it with no dramatization whatsoever. And I think that's part of what makes it, as you said, so incredibly powerful. I mean, I am going to warn anyone who sees it, if you haven't, it is intense. It is very intense. And it can be a little hard to watch at times, but I mean, if you want to have a 90-minute sneak peek as to what some of these men and women have to go through, there you go.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.